moving on through trauma. Now, which one are you? Are you someone who in face of adversity and you cover yourself under the cover and just pretend it doesn't happen? Or are you someone who's actually strong enough to actually head out there and head on to the adversity? So that is the topic we're going to talk about today. And I know you're thinking, Michelle, where's your intro? It's coming. Hey, welcome to my podcast. This is a podcast where I'll be teaching you all the systems and strategies you need in creating your visibility so you can turn your passion for coaching into a profitable business. I'm your host, Michelle Quay. I am a visibility coach, content and email marketing strategist, international speaker, and author, as well as the founder of Elevate Life Coaching. Let's just say that I know a few things about overcoming seemingly impossible obstacles in life and in business. I'm on a mission to be the champion that helps you to get to the top of your mountain, one courageous step at a time. Welcome to the show. All right, I'm super excited today because today I have my new friend and fellow coach, Noelle Morgan, here with me today. And we are on the topic of moving on through trauma. Noelle, her journey began when it was in 2015. She started to unravel a lot of her stories that led to becoming a certified professional coach. Noelle graduated from iPEC coaching, and she has a certification in energy leadership, and she has a degree in psychology, and she built an HR and executive coaching career at multiple Fortune 500 companies, both in the US and UK. This is in her words. She says that I live my life to the full, always because none of us are getting out here alive. I have asthma and bronchiectasis. Yes, we'll find out. This has no way in curtain her passion for life, including running marathons and climbing Kilimanjaro in 2011. That's one of my biggest bucket lists is to actually climb Kilimanjaro. So I'm gonna have to pick her brain on that. How much do you actually need in order to hike through Kilimanjaro? She adores theater. She's obsessed with traveling, exploring new places and countries that have wonderful dry sense of humor. When you meet her, this is a woman with all these beautiful lights and fun and enjoyment. And if you follow her on LinkedIn, you're going to know why. All right, let's bring her on to the show. Hi, Noelle.
Hello. What a lovely introduction.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And, one of the things I started to follow you on LinkedIn was there's a lot of things that you do. You're just kind of like doing it in your own way. And, a lot of coaches, we tend to run into that place of, I wonder if I should follow somebody else's footsteps. And when we get onto a conversation, you start to tell me about your journey and how you had asthma and you were able to hike Kilimanjaro. I'm like, I need to invite this woman on. So Noelle, tell us, what is your story? What got you onto this coaching journey?
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you ever so much for having me today. And I love how this is called Coffee Talk with Michelle, because in the UK now, it's like 5:45 in the evening. So if I had a third cup of coffee, I would be climbing the walls. So it's coffee talk for you and it's water talk for me. So, but anyway, I'm delighted. I'm chuffed a bit, delighted to be here. So, I'm obviously based in the UK. I'm a trauma-informed life and leadership coach, and my clients are working with professional women who have had a similar journey to me, which is, how we choose our clients. So the women mainly in corporate, predominantly in pharmaceuticals and healthcare, which was my background prior to coming out and being a coach, and similar challenges, playing small, not using their voice, suppressing their emotions, not having healthy boundaries, inability to say no, but all behind this beautiful corporate facade and this corporate job and the big salary. So those are the women that I work with. As you said, I've been doing this now probably for about 3 years, certified, but my journey itself started way back. My childhood was quite dysfunctional. It was quite abusive. It was very violent. And I think that led me to go off and do those wonderful things that I've done, like climbing Kilimanjaro and kind of like running marathons, despite having a chronic health condition with the asthma and the bronchiectasis. Mm-hmm. So I think when we talk about trauma, yes, it can be horrible, but it's not always the big trauma. It can be, small t trauma as well. But even though it changes us, we then have a choice, and choice is so fundamental to how I'm living my life. We have a choice as to how we move on past it.
Mm-hmm. So you share a big chunk of very important information, and I think when we think about trauma, and there's no doubt, like 2022. I was thinking this morning that our word of the year is trauma. Yeah. Like starting from January, right, all up until recently, especially in UK. I know a lot of my friends who's in UK. They're still grieving for the loss of the Queen. The yes. Queen as a person, and not so much as the monarchy of how the system works, but like just as a person. She's been around forever. She's like our grandmother, and nobody in our home. And so there's a lot of trauma that we're experiencing throughout the year. And, now you and I are able to sit down and talk about trauma here and how we move through it. You hike Kilimanjaro, I hike Machu Picchu. Thanks. But even before that, I kind of wanted to break it down for our audience a little bit of how you went from traumatic childhood experiences and being able to make that choice. What was it like growing up? What kind of kids were you?
So first of all, thank you for remembering our beloved Queen. Yes, that was I bawled my eyes out when I heard of her death, because obviously she's been in my life since forever. So bless you, my love, for remembering her. It was my mother was Greek, my father a Yorkshireman, very, very different personalities. My mother was the abuser. So, a lot of physical violence, a lot of emotional violence. And the focus was on education, do more. So I didn't really socialize with people. I didn't have friends around my house. So that had an impact. As I moved in to my adulthood, and how I formed relationships with people. So upbringing was brutal, I think is the word. Yeah.
Were you more like the quiet type who sit on the corner, or were you kind of like the kid who's, there's a lot of things that's happening at home, and therefore, when I'm with friends or people, I seem to be a little bitter. Which one were you?
I was, believe it or not, when you hear me talk now, I was the quiet one. Mm. I know that's probably hard to believe, but I lost my voice. I didn't speak up. And there was no bitterness felt as a child, because you don't know what you don't know, do you? Mm-hmm. This was my upbringing, and maybe that's what happened at all the houses, down the road and with my friends. So I was just quiet, and I did as I was told, and I tried to people please at home to make it an easier environment. I just wanted safety and love. So I tried to keep it all. I tried to smooth it all over. I didn't know any different at that age.
I think what's interesting, what you just shared, is that, at one point you thought that this is how everybody else lived their lives. This is how everybody else is at home. And so we start to normalize a lot of the things that we experience and thinking, oh, this must be how everybody else is. But in reality, what you desire, right? So if you want to be seen, you want to be loved, that's what it's essential. It's something that's important to you. So why can't we
Yeah,
step up to the plate and
yeah.
ask for the things that we want?
Hmm.
And I think, over the years, the society have learned, or culturally, we have learned to just, stay calm, stay put, don't be seen, don't be heard. You don't deserve this, right? There's that mindset of just keep quiet.
Mm.
Just do what you do because everybody else seems to be struggling. So what makes you so different and unique to talk about your
Yeah,
struggle? Yeah.
yeah.
So at what point did you realize that this is not the way it is?
Yeah, I mean it's a great question because I was thinking about that before I came on, and I had a bit of I left home. I went to university. I did my psychology, and then probably my 20s and my 30s were a bit of a mess. It was a bit of a mess. No boundaries. I was abusing myself, not looking after my body, too much drink, the wrong amount of food. I was smoking, and as an asthmatic, that's a big no-no. Obviously, a bit silly to say the least. And then I think I got to my mid-30s, and it was like my little girl inside me kind of like grabbed hold of my arm and said, this is not how the story's going to end, Noelle. You actually need to do something about it. And that's when, the start of my deep soul searching, my inner healing, going to therapists, seeing coaches. That's where my journey began, because that little girl said to me, you've got more to live than this, my love. So it's time you actually take your power back. You've got a choice here. You've got a choice how the story is going to end. It was a very powerful kind of wow.
Yeah. So which one came first? Did you go see a therapist first, or like you have a degree in psychology? So I presume that there's a lot of things that you're already learning in psychology. Has that helped at all?
I think I obviously was the type of person to go into psychology because I spent a lot of time in my head. Because top of your head, obviously, is safety, isn't it? Because we don't feel anything, we don't express our emotions. So I was a thinker. I was quite a reflective young girl. So I went to do psychology, and probably because I didn't really know where I wanted to end up. I just thought I've got to get out of home, go far away as possible, and do something that is of interest. And then the first person I reached out to was a therapist. But it was back in the day when it was the talk therapy, where literally, I went for, I thought, I'll be good. I'll be done in 6 months. 6 months is all it'll take. 6 years later, I'm still there. But then I'm rehashing the same story, the same stuff. I'm rehashing the same narrative. And at that point, I realized after 6 years that I'm not actually getting I'm not growing, I'm not evolving, I'm not healing, because I've got somebody who I'm paying, but I'm just telling the same story.
Yeah.
And I think it was around that time that I realized it's got to be coaching, because I'm tired of living in the past. It's done. We don't live there anymore.
Yeah. I think most people who's been in the therapy chair, they don't realize like what coaching is, right? How did you hear about the word coaching?
So when I was working in the pharmaceutical industry, I lived 12 years in Philadelphia, and I was in corporate HR, and I heard about coaching there because it was part of my job, but they also had a separate function called Job Plus Coaches, and it was absolutely amazing. And I realized that that was the type of energy I wanted. I didn't want to spend my time digging up the past, although even in coaching, we need to do some of that to understand where all our beliefs come from. But I wanted something that was forward thinking. And the beauty about coaching, as you know, is that you've got all the answers, and all the answers live within. And I knew what I needed to do. I knew I needed to stop playing the victim, however comfortable that might be as a place, and you can have people listening to you forever. But I knew I needed to move on. And that was, for me, transformational, was when I actually got my first coach.
As you're describing the difference between therapy and coaching, the image I have in my head is that, you talked about telling story, and you were retelling the same story over and over. And so the visual is that someone is writing in a journal, you keep writing your stories over and over, and you're going back to the same page over and over. So no wonder it's a big mess, right? So you got to turn a page and start on a new page, and you write your new stories. And I think one of the unique stuff about coaching is that people help you rewrite that story. It could be the same story, but there's so many different ways of rewriting it, right? So you're rewriting your story on a new book, on a new chapter, on a new page. And hopefully, maybe the sentence doesn't make sense, but let's make sense out of it. So I thought that was coming up for me as you're describing, the same story being told so many times.
Yeah. I mean, I was almost boring myself. So I don't know what I was doing with everyone else, but I was boring myself with the same story. And you're right. The beauty about coaching is it doesn't change the fact that it happened. We're not dismissing it, because that's not the right approach. It's about rewriting that narrative and choosing, it's that word again, choosing the story that you're now going to tell going forward. And when I learned, Michelle, about the power of choice, that for me was light bulb.
Yeah. So the word choice came up a couple of times. And then I think one of the things about moving on through trauma, there's obviously some choices to be made, right? But how does someone who's listening or watching this episode, how do we actually move on through that trauma? Like, what are some of the steps that you might be able to share with us?
Well, it was interesting in your introduction, you articulated it very beautifully, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was, as a result of trauma, do you hide under the covers and kind of feel sorry for yourself, which I did, or do you choose that the next level the woman in your vision, is someone different? And that, for me, I think, it was about deciding, how do you want to show up? How do you want to feel every day? How good can this really get if you choose to go and get help, support, whatever it looks like for you? Because back in the past, nothing great happens. So I think it's about being aware of what's going on for you, and then making a decision. Okay, I'm aware that my relationships are not great. I'm aware that this is how I'm showing up. I'm aware that I'm spending a lot of time frustrated and angry and pissed off. I'm aware of all of that. And now what? And it's no point just being aware. It's about, and now what? What do I want to do about it?
And I can see how this is so related to a lot of how women apply to growing their coaching business. So a lot of my audience are women coaches who's trying to grow their coaching business. And when you think about like all the things, all the like challenges that we experience as we grow our business, there's a lot of things that we need to like learn and step out of our comfort zone. And sometimes, you see someone else has this beautiful technology that they're able to use, and here you are, you're feeling stuck, and that's pretty traumatic, right? Seeing people like keep advancing, but here you are, you're stuck with it. Like, just how do I set up my calendar? How do I sync my calendar? As little things as that, right? That's a traumatic experience if we're on a smaller scales, right? But like, there's that choice that you said. How do you want to show up every day? What is it that you want to show up with, and how do you want to decide what to do? Maybe ask for more help. And it's interesting that the Latin word decision in Latin words, it actually makes you want to give up something. So what is it that you need to give up? Maybe it's a belief, maybe it's something that you were holding on to, an idea that you can do this by yourself. But when you're making a decision, when you're making a choice, it means that something's got to give. So what is your something?
Yeah.
So, hey there, sorry to interrupt, but you've been staring at the flashing cursor on your screen for the last 2 hours. Your heart is pounding, your eyes becoming blurry, your frustration has just kicked up a notch. You feel overwhelmed, but still, you have nothing. The problem that many women coaches experience is not the fear of showing up for their business, it is the lack of idea to show up. Now, imagine you being able to write confidently, knowing that your content can be meaningful and helpful, having a plan or framework, and the clarity to the purpose of being on social media that actually lead your business to success. Ready to hop off that hamster wheel? Head over to content.attractclientthroughstorytelling.com and grab your copy of Content Planner for Women Coaches today. Now back to the show. So what happened? What happened after you decided, okay, so I'm gonna go into coaching? And was that a smooth journey for you? And where are you now?
Smooth journey? Is anything ever a smooth journey? Ever? I mean, if you think about the journey of healing or growth, it's never, and that's why it's so beautiful. Because you're never healed, are you? You're never expanded, you're never evolved with an ED. It's kind of like up and down and topsy-turvy. But, me and all the other people on the show, you've already been through so much. Whatever that trauma is for you, whether it's big trauma like me or whether it's little t trauma, we've already been through so much. So just continue. Because why not? You've got through the worst. The world is your oyster. It's like you said earlier, it's about turning the page. I'm done with that, and just carry on in small baby steps. And I think something that you mentioned about me on LinkedIn, be you. Always be you, because there's so much noise out there, Michelle, isn't there, in terms of they're doing that and then they've got these fancy whatever websites or flashing lights, or they do reels. I don't even know what a reel is. You've just got to be you, because that is how you attract the people who are going to work with you. Because when you're authentic and you show up from your heart, the people out there who can relate to that are attracted to you. So my journey as a coach, continues. Every day is a school day. Is it easy? No, but it's blooming rewarding when you can actually see yourself make changes to your clients, and you see that, that light bulb moment. You think, yeah, I remember that. I was there. And that is why I do it. And if I can change one person's life, that's it, one, then to me that is, that is a job well done.
Yeah. By the way, every day is a school day. That could be your T-shirt. Every day is a school day.
Every day is a school day.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Every day is a school day. We're all here to learn. We're all here to share our light together. Are there anything that you practice routinely during the time where you're experiencing that heaviness in life?
Great question. And that's the beauty of me becoming a trauma-informed coach, which is a recent little certification in my toolbox. So I've learned a lot about the nervous system. I've learned a lot about regulating my system and the client's nervous system. I've learned about releasing energy. So before I came on here, I had my headphones on and some very, very loud music, which is how I get myself, fired up for something that I'm looking forward to. I do a lot of running. I feel very passionately that emotions need to be felt and not pushed down. So if you need to have a scream, or if you need to have a cry, or if you need to, go and bash a cushion or a pillow, do it. And I still do that now. It's about, feeling your emotions and allowing them out of your body, because when you let your emotions stay in and they become stuck, that's when, other complications can happen. So yes, very energetic, loud music. I feel my emotions. I go for a run. I'm always talking to myself. I have some of the best conversations when I'm talking to myself. So I do a lot of release work. And it's about choosing, that word again, it's about choosing who I have relationships with now. Because as a people pleaser as I was before, I was yearning for love and connection. So I had relationships with anybody. I couldn't say no. I didn't have boundaries. I would listen to my friends talk for hours about themselves, and when they'd say to me, "And how are you, Noelle?" I'd be like, "Oh, I'm fine."
Yeah.
So boundaries has been instrumental for me in really changing, how I feel and how I show up.
Mm-hmm. There's a funny saying that goes, every time we talk to ourselves, you're having a staff meeting. You're having a staff meeting with yourself, and which is, don't interrupt me. I'm having a staff meeting. Unless you're part of the staff, don't worry about it.
That's it. And the good thing about our staff meeting is we can keep it to time, can't we? It doesn't have to go over. So
And I think everything that you share about releasing energy, it all sounds very healthy, right? A healthier way of releasing the energy. Listen to loud music. You go for a run. You cry, and all these are to the extent where, and I think it's also important to have our audience aware that there's healthy way of releasing your energy, and there's unhealthy way of releasing your energy. So be careful on what you choose, right? Are you causing it more harm, or are you causing it more creating more space for yourself? I think that's also a very important distinction to make.
Yes, no, absolutely. And I grew up in an environment where emotions weren't healthily expressed. So that's why I pushed it down for so long, because it wasn't safe. But you're right. If you don't express them in a healthy way, then they either affect the body, or they come out as rage or anger directed to the wrong person. So it's absolutely about being very aware of what is appropriate and what is not appropriate, and cleansing your own body first.
So Noelle, we can go on for hours and hours talking about coaching, passion, but I do want to respect your time. Tell us, where can people find you, and how does client work with you?
So yes, I've loved our staff meeting. I'm not sure however many people they've been listening into the staff meeting, but yeah, I've loved it. You can find me on LinkedIn, and I don't know if under Noelle Morgan. My website is, there she is, coachnoelle.com. My email address is hello@coachnoelle. So please send me an email or send me a DM on LinkedIn, and I'd love to chat with you. Yeah. That's where I get my energy, is having these conversations with people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I personally, so I found you on LinkedIn, and we send each other like texts, and I've been following your posts. I think it's a great way of communicating and just build that relationship.
Yeah.
Just have that relationship, and who knows, down the line, I'm sure someone is going to reach out. And again, I'll have all the links to your LinkedIn as well to your website inside the episode notes when I release the podcast episode. Are you ready for some rapid firing question, Noelle, so that my audience can get to know you more?
Go for it.
All right, first questions. If you could be the character in a TV show, what character would you want to be?
Oh, blooming heck. What a good question. So it would have to be something silly and funny and goofy, because that's the type of person I am. Can I think of a character for some reason? Yeah, no, I won't say that one. I will think of something, but it has to be somebody wild, like me, sense of humor, doesn't take herself too seriously. Mm-hmm. Something like that.
I love that. So back in the old days, well, my old days, there was Warner Brother. Warner Brother has a cartoon, Tasmania.
It's funny. I actually was thinking of a cartoon, or like Roadrunner. I don't know if you have that in the
we have that
in the States. Yeah, but I was thinking about something like that, something cartoon like. Yeah.
Yep. What is your favorite store that you like to shop?
I love Diesel.
Ooh,
a clothes shop.
I've used their cologne in the past.
Yes, very nice perfume and cologne, but also very nice clothes. And when I used to live in Philadelphia, there was actually a Diesel shop, obviously just for me, on the high street. So I was in heaven.
Yeah. If you hear the sound, that's because my alarm guy is installing your alarm.
Good.
But it has nothing to do with that time. I know, right? We got to make sure it's working. All right. One last question. And this question came from a book quote. This is from my favorite book, The Little Prince. The fox said to the little prince, "It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eyes." From your point of view, what is essential but invisible to the eyes?
Well, beautiful quote. Well, that sent shivers in a really lovely way, Michelle, down my body. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. What is essential? That alarm sounds really good, actually. I like the chime. Intuition. You listen to that voice, listen to your gut, get out your head. Your intuition knows the truth. It knows what needs to be done, and however scary it may feel, that's the voice that you need to listen to. Pay attention to your gut.
Beautiful. I couldn't have ended this show anywhere better than this. Intuition. Yeah. Follow
Yeah.
your intuition.
And as coaches, I mean, we use that a lot, don't we, with our clients?
Yeah.
The stuff that isn't said between the words. So a very powerful tool, but often not seen.
Thank you, Noelle. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and I really, really wish you all the best. And we will continue to our interaction, our relationship on the LinkedIn. And again, this is where you can find Noelle.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
See you later. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Hey, beautiful. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast and found value from this episode, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform and leave me a rating and review. One thing I was struggling in my early years in business was finding the right people to connect with. It feels like I was on this entrepreneur journey on my own. And sometimes we all just need friends who can share our dreams and hopes. Someone who can relate to what we're going through as we grow our business together. If you are a woman coach who is ready to grow your coaching business and looking for strategies to get seen, get heard, and get hired, I want to invite you to come and find me in our community on Facebook at Get Clients with Storytelling. This is a community of women coaches who want to grow a coaching business by creating engaging, visible, and authentic content with storytelling for their business to get more leads and attract more clients. I will see you at our next tea party.